He and I play a little game where we haven't given it a title yet, but we make a bet before the game begins, and the bet is we both say a number for how many deaths we think each support combined will have before the first Warmogs is purchased.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of The Salt Mine. This is Season 4, Episode 3. We took a week off last week, but we are back fresh off the first super week of the season. It's been 4 weeks in. I'm Gordo, I'm joined by Slayer, and we have special guest Summer from Winthrop University.
Woo!
Summer, what's going on? Welcome on board.
Hey, happy to be here. Yeah, I've been talking in your DMs about things that I agree and disagree with that are said on this podcast. So finally, I am given a microphone on the very podcast that I flame and also praise.
Let's
good. Not forget that I praise it sometimes.
That's good. I don't feed all of that directly over to Slayer and everybody, by the way. She hasn't done a lot of critique by name, but if you want to start bringing it out by name, this is the opportunity to do it. Unfortunately, Quacks couldn't join us today. Quacks is having internet issues in the old storm coming around. By the time this comes out, that won't be dated. Everybody will still be remembering what Barrel is and all that's going on by this Friday, hopefully. So he gets a pass on that one. Not too much to be said there. But Summer, awesome to talk to you. You've joined up with Winthrop in the recent last couple of splits. Your Twitter says you have a broadcast specialist role there. Do you want to kind of explain a little bit more about what your duties over on the team are? I can tell you definitely spend a lot of time working with them semi-directly, but I know you're also running their streams and things like that, right?
Yeah, so broadcast specialist role is, honestly, it's kind of a role that's designed to have me on the program because this is something that the esports director, Josh Bowe, and I discussed throughout the offseason, like a year ago at this point. It's kind of crazy. Of like what I could possibly do at the school and what I could provide to our program. And it's, I wear a lot of hats here. I work on the content team. I'll like do some video production. I will operate like our like sort of recap podcast show type thing. We do some interviews with the players. I just generally help out whenever I can with like management stuff for some of the teams. Obviously, League is my main game, but we have Overwatch, Valorant, Smash, some other games here and there. We got a pretty killer squad for Pokemon battling and everything, so that's fun to talk about. That doesn't really go anywhere though.
Yeah. You guys know Omega Strikers?
No, we're not.
Okay. I know there's a couple of big league colleges that are in Omega Strike. I have to ask. I do the Omega Strike Pro League. I have to plug.
Right.
I have to plug it. I
understand.
I'm trying to keep that esport alive. Look into it. It's a good game.
Most of our people and students in general are very into fighting games. So, a lot of that is covered. I imagine when 2XKO
that's it
is coming out, we're gonna try that. But yeah, back to my stuff. I operate everything that we do as far as like streaming on Twitch and YouTube, and that also includes our co-streams. So I co-stream with another student. His name is Beep. You guys probably heard of him. He plays. He plays in Tier 3 and everything. Also a Winthrop student. We do those together. So just two support mains shooting the shit on the Winthrop channel and watching our games. So that's been really fun to do. We've had ups and downs watching that, obviously, as our score would indicate. But yeah, happy to be on the Winthrop staff list and everything, and happy to transition from what I was doing in esports before to moving over here.
Yeah, this is the big Tier 3 casting success story, really. I mean, you're getting a lot more out of the Tier 3 casting than most folks do. So no, that's awesome. So
I got out at the right time.
Yeah, so. No, I do. I don't know. Like, is this? I don't even know. I don't know if Slayer was even really in the scene much at that time, or Quacks or anybody. But I remember it was like you, Rafa, and Cubby were like the big three, tier 3 casters for a while in like early Proving Grounds era.
Yeah,
no
it's a bit
shadow of a doubt.
serendipitous to be back on a podcast talking about Tier 2 when I was the first person to have a podcast talking about Tier 2. So
It's full
that's
circle.
pretty fun. Yep, I didn't look like this, but you know, it was me. And Cubby and Rafa. And yeah, it was a very fun time. Shout out the Proving Grounds pod days.
It was a fun show.
And yeah,
It's a good way to get into this scene when, yeah, I mean, there's shows like this, but it feels like it's always tough to get into it. So, oh, it's good stuff.
yeah, the consistency is really hard sometimes. Because,
Yeah.
like,
The consistency
I mean-
is hard, and the fact that it's like invisible on official socials and stuff definitely doesn't help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the most motivating thing out
what are you
there.
going to do?
What can you do? Well, we'll
Just
flame.
keep making it. That's what you could do.
We'll start flaming NACL a little bit more later, maybe. We'll find a good excuse to do that. We'll talk about scheduling or something. But
And at the end of last split, they put us on air. Don't forget.
they did. Although I give that full credit for that. I think goes to like Cubby and Beatdown and stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't
Yeah,
give that.
100%
I don't give that to to the higher powers at all. So,
Yeah.
but no, yeah. Shout out to them. I guess we're not allowed to criticize NACL anymore after that one. But
Yes, we are.
let's kick things off by starting by talking about Winthrop. I think just because what better team to start things off while we're talking here?
What better team you could have ended the sentence there?
Yeah, what better team to talk about? Period. As I do want to ask Summer, you as having somebody or as having some background with the team in the offseason, what were kind of the objectives for the team in spring? I know you guys were really thinking about trying to make NACL here. You competed in your second promotion tournament, didn't quite make it there. How do you kind of go from the spring promotion tournament into ending up acquiring a spot for summer? Like, what were things like on the Winthrop side of that as somebody closer to the organization?
Yeah, so I know, first of all, addressing like sort of the sour taste that it put in a lot of people's mouths, that it was us who got the spot after failing to promote twice. Fully understand that. I get exactly why people would be upset about that. Because yeah, we did try to make it to NACL twice and we failed twice. And now that we are in NACL, it kind of feels like it wasn't earned and that like we scammed wildcard or something. That bit is not true. Wildcard was going to get rid of their spot regardless, and they were kind of shopping it around to people who might potentially want to get into it. And we, I guess, happened to have the best offer for them. I don't really know. I was not involved in the negotiations for getting into NACL and that sort of thing. But the big thing to remember is that Wildcard was not going to be in the league regardless. And I'm not going to speak too much on that. You may be able to tell potentially why with their most recent CEO announcement. I don't know the minutia of all of that. But yeah, as far as the getting the spot goes, that's about the answer you're gonna get. I'm not gonna get into any other details.
Yeah.
The roster though is interesting because also very publicly we had Winsome. We were going to rock with Mobility Winsome bot lane, and we had also announced the rest of our team was going to be the returning Winthrop students. And that was going to be it. That was going to be what we ran with and everything. And then JJ had an emergency thing that left him unable to compete with Cincinnati Fear, ex Starforge, whatever. And they then went around asking the other supports if they could step in. Winsome liked that deal, so he went with it. And that, frankly, tilted us a lot, specifically our players, because he had already moved here. He had already signed multiple contracts, He had like an apartment that we were like paying for. He had everything here already. And we were already making like plans around him and everything. So that was unfortunate. I understand why he did it. He liked the offer better. He thought that they would win more at Fear. So like, can't really blame him. I'm personally not upset at him or anything. In fact, I like the team that we ended up with quite a lot. But that alongside the sort of really uneasiness and tension of the players after, failing to promote twice, getting sixth in CLOL, like just a lot of cascading disappointment. And then the Winsome thing just kind of blew everything up, and it was really really hard to be in that zone. And after all of that, just generally being upset, we came to the conclusion that we should look for a new mid jungle, and specifically Winnie and Darkwings wanted to play together. So that was going to be our primary option. Deos would also be stepping into coach. But then they said that they wanted to specifically play with Aaron. So then we had like another wrinkle to it, and then David, mobility, was like, okay, well, I really want to win. I think this is our best chance to win. I'm going to role swap to support, which you may have heard about.
I did, yeah.
That was a decision that he made, and then kind of last second was like, is this a really good decision? Is this actually what I want to do? Do I actually want to play support? He ended up deciding no. And then the SLU guys were like, okay, well, let's bring in SkyTech. That's that. That's a pretty comprehensive history. Sorry, I kind of went on a whole roadmap for you, but
well, that's good.
That's valuable, 100%. And it's safe to say, I mean, with the Winsome stuff, safe to say that the team probably has next week's matchup circled. I would assume, or there's probably a little bit of extra motivation for some of those guys going into next week's matchup. I'm assuming. I don't know, but I'm sure you have a bit of a better idea than I do.
I don't know. I think some of the players who are not on our roster right now are a little more upset than the SLU guys.
That's fair enough.
But it'll still be fun to beat them.
Yeah.
Absolutely there.
Yeah, well, it's cool to hear about those intricacies, because I'm sure like the timing of all this also played like a factor into some of those roster decisions, right? Because everything you just talked about, must have happened in like a couple weeks time period, or maybe a bit more.
Yeah, the timing of it was really tight and very stressful for everyone. Like, I was stressed and I just hit record, so like that was a tough time. I do more than that. But it was it was bad. Honestly, we're really lucky that we ended up with a team that was already so coordinated from the jump that we didn't have to go through the motions so early. Like I think some of these other teams are right now, which has been really valuable. And I think especially having Deos on the team, and Chu as well, the SLU director, has been really, really clutch for us, picking up the wins that we have gotten. And I think like their familiarity with the team already has been absolutely crucial.
Yeah. Is Artemis just not working with you guys for the summer then, or what is his role in the NACL spot?
He's been pretty hands off. I think it's fair to say. He's got some other stuff that he is attending to at the moment. I think he's taking some internship. I don't know that specifically from him, but yeah, it's been very much Deo's solo coach at the moment. Maybe that'll change in the future though.
I'm also curious while we're talking about like that kind of off-season shuffle that was happening. The Winnie Darkwings duo, especially, and even going all the way down to Aaron as well. I had also heard that trio being floated around for the CCG roster too, a little bit. Was that something that you guys kind of ran into as an issue? I know CCG was kind of selecting between a few different rosters all the way up until the end there. And I know Krim listens to this show sometimes, so I don't mean for that to be a shot at CCG, by the way. I think that that whole situation is traceable back to why is the NACL roster deadline the same day as the NACLQ roster deadline. That really seems like the root of most of these problems. But regardless, I had heard that they were choosing between a couple of different squads for a while there. Was that something that like also became an issue for you guys as you were trying to figure out what your roster was going to be?
I don't really think so. I mean, we ended up with the roster by the end that we wanted, so I don't think we ran into too many issues with that. I don't know. I will say, as far as the roster deadlines being the same, that is the reason why there is no David Mobility Wrigley in the OQs at the moment. So that sucks.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, expect to see him in OQ2.
There you go.
That's fair. Yeah. It's always safe to be like a dangling high value free agent at the center point. You can often, hopefully for him, he's able to find a good spot on a good team.
I would imagine so. Yeah. He's been one of the best ADs in the region for a long time.
Yeah. And there's at least one top 8 seed team that had a unproven AD on it that severely underperformed expectations. So,
hey, hit David's line.
Scrambles to pull up all my sheets.
You'll figure it out.
Think about who you're talking about. Okay, all right. Well, I talk about. Well, okay, because I don't need to deep dive that now. That's not what we're.
It'll stand out immediately when you go and look at them.
I'm sure it will, but you know, to keep things on track, you mentioned the fact that you know, part of the reason you feel like Winthrop has had some success coming in ACL is that like bond that you can already see kind of from the SLU guys that is come across, and something that I was very wrong about. You might have been critical with Gordo about something that I said, something I tweet out. I was worried about the fact that, you know, SLU coming in with, you know, some of these Winthrop guys added. And for me, it was the fact that they'd been playing on some of those past patches on CeeLo for a while and then have to jump to live patch. I raised a lot of those issues. And I will say right here, I was very wrong. They look like one of the more cohesive teams in the league. And yeah, I mean, I kind of just want to open up this to hear how your thought process has been to reach this like 2-2 mark, and how you've really seen on the Rift specifically some of those synergies already showing up that you mentioned other teams are still trying to figure out.
The way I see it is our 2 losses are against the 2 teams that played in the finals last split. So as long as that remains true, we're third. It's kind of as simple as that, you know? Like,
as long as that remains true, doing a lot of work there, but hey, fair.
Hey, I mean,
the math is math.
We can beat Team Liquid. We're about to beat Fear next weekend.
DSG beat Team Liquid, I believe you. That's
we beat DSG. It was not even close. So
yeah,
we lost the game, but it wasn't even close.
The two game wins weren't that close. So, the ones that mattered weren't that close.
There you go.
I agree with that. For sure. So, I mean, that's as good an opportunity as any to get into the split so far. So, you guys have taken wins over AOE and DSG, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, I am right there. And then lost to FlyQuest and Dragonsteel. How do you feel like this is an open question to both of you guys. How are we feeling about how Winthrop has performed thus far? Like, are you guys actually coming in feeling you're top 3 already? Is that like a developmental goal, or like where do you guys kind of power rank yourselves, or I guess where do you power rank the team as an individual, Summer?
Okay. Obviously, they're my team, so I think we're going to win, and we're going to go to Brazil. Obviously, I want to go to Sao Paulo. So.
I love that it's about going to Brazil instead of going to LA now. I think that's a lot.
I know,
cool.
it's so cool.
That's so cool. Yeah.
But yeah,
Like, it was cool when it was going to LA
split.
too, because now that the players don't literally live in LA. But the fact that it's going somewhere else is also very cool.
It'll be cool to see everyone in person again. I did not get to go to the CLAW finals, so that was a bit of a bummer. Shout out Boise, only top 2 teams, all of that nonsense. But anyway, yeah, we're gonna go to Brazil. But at the start of the split, I set my personal like expectations and everything as like a longtime spectator of this league as top half. I think we're very competitive with the likes of Team Liquid. Personally, I would put us in that like 3 and 4 range. I think Team Liquid's been doing really well. Like Romer had a really good weekend, so I'd probably put us 4 at the moment. But I mean, we've proven that Maryville is beatable in the CLAW finals, and Maryville has proven that FlyQuest is beatable. So I think first place is very attainable for us. The win against Disguised, I think, was not surprising to me at all. Losing that badly to Dragonsteel was honestly pretty surprising. I think we were unprepared for that. Set, let me think, who else is in there? I think we're significantly better than Supernova. And
how about Fear, who Blue Otter have just recently proven are beatable?
Yeah, I think the Fear set's gonna be fun. I think that's one of the closer ones. Like, I would put us in the same, like, I don't know, I guess you'd call it like B tier with Team Liquid and Fear. I'd take us over the pack.
Okay. Also, Gordo, I don't know if Blue Otter can even be a litmus test for teams anymore after the CCG week. Like, I don't really know if that's the team we should be. Like,
I don't know what to think.
I will feel out with.
I will say, and thank God that you're here, Slayer. I do have to apologize. Samikin is better than Shochi. I
told you.
You're totally right there. I pushed back on that specifically in the preseason episode, and that you know what? Good. You got me.
You had to play Zoe too.
He did.
Yeah, that's true. You should have known that hurt my heart to say, because when we used to do this podcast splits ago, we were the guys that we were so yapping about Shochi.
I don't know what happened to Shochi after summer 2023, man, but he is not the same guy right now.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I am enjoying that. The one thing I do feel like is the take that I had to continuously say, oh, like you had me match up mid laners to see where it actually land. I do think saying Samikin will end up like the 6th best mid laner is looking pretty good right now.
Yeah,
I think
maybe even higher. I mean, he's been
even
quite
higher.
Good.
Yeah.
I've been very impressed with him.
I do have a take about Shochi, by the way.
Please.
Okay,
let's go ahead.
Oh, that's serious.
I think that a year ago, it was really cool and unique about him that he would sometimes pull out the marksman mid. And now everyone's doing it because it's meta. And I think that I think he had a lot of surprise factor with like being able to pull that off. And I think oftentimes he does things like that and spreads his champion pool very thin while doing it. So he has like a lot of pocket picks just ready to pull out in any given moment. But AD carry mids are so broken right now that you have to play them and nothing else is good. As long as there is an AD carry mid lane available. Yep. And that does not play to Shochi's strengths. He's a guy who like will chameleon his way into like some like perfect mid lane pick, but the perfect mid lane pick is just going to be Tristana every time. So I think is affecting it a lot.
I think that's fair, but that wasn't really the meta in spring is the thing for me. And like in spring he was the only one playing the ADTF mid in spring, which I suppose like showed that facet a little bit, but it's like I was so surprised that like he and Kenvi never really seemed to like sync up and become this like top tier mid jungle duo the way that he and Perry
held
were.
Supernova back.
Yeah,
it's what held Supernova back really bad.
I know, and like he and Perry were that duo. It felt like on Fear, so that was a big surprise to me. Maybe in hindsight, I just give a lot of credit to Perry for that, and that'll never be disproven because Perry's at least until he shows up in C-Law, and we can rate his mid laner at that time.
Oof.
But
The magic of that Fear roster is
they
like
were so good,
like
dude.
unmatched.
Yeah.
Because that was a lot of the strength of Minui too. Was
the
he
pocket
would
picks.
pull out the weird pocket picks and everything,
Yep.
and I think that really played to Perry's strengths a lot. Is having two of your like carry roles being good at that, so that you can step in and carry everything. I think Perry's a very skilled general in the game. And I think he learned a lot of that from working with JJ. I think like the two of them were a fantastic pair. And I think you saw that as well. I think JJ was very skilled when he was working with a rookie XU too. Like I think JJ is just a phenomenal support when it comes to like playing with these sort of loose cannon vocal like wanting to be the general junglers. I think JJ's very, very good at that, and I don't think he got enough credit for that. It's very unfortunate that he doesn't get to play with XU again. I was very excited for that.
That was going to be so good.
That would be really fun.
And this is going to be his last split too, so it's probably
Yeah.
That whole line of great takes just opened up like everything for me. Thinking about now, I'm realizing why Perry didn't work on Disguise, because I think Young was like the worst pairing for how Perry wants to play.
Oh, I've had that opinion
So,
for a bit.
like,
yeah.
Well, yeah, it's just all like clicking in my head now. But
No.
so yeah, and hey, did I say Salmon Kid would be better than Young? And here we are now.
It might be. I mean, yeah. There's, I mean, let's get into DSG a little bit there. Like, there's a lot that feels like it's just not clicking for DSG still. That hasn't been fixed in a while. I feel like I don't want to be the one to like come out. I don't want to like come out and BM Tenacity or anything. But he is like, it feels like he's dropped off a cliff since when he was like that next hype prospect. Like, it's so strange that usually when guys come down after LCS experience, you think about like your XUs or your Tomos or anybody, or Spawn last year, they're
Kenvi.
Kenvi, they come back and they're like out of the training weights, right? They're like just unleashed against lower tier 2 level competition,
smacking people.
and they are usually so dominant, especially right after they come back. Same thing for guys who take Korean boot camps, right? Like, you think about, I don't know, Zamudo, Wixie, Bradley, right after he came back. Like, people roll back up after big Korea trips, and they're usually very dominant and very strong looking, fresh off of that harsher environment. Tenacity did both back to back and came back just looking way worse. I don't understand what happened, but like, I think the first game up against Winthrop, I think, is like almost exactly my point there, right? Because like that first game against you guys is Winnie splits the map vertically, right? He super early invades on Karthus. He's like diving bot lane at level 2. Yukino splits the map on the other side, and like Yukino Maokai gets like both halves of the top side jungle. And Tenacity's sitting there on his R5 Volibear counter pick, like behind in lane, and they're losing the grub fights. I just don't understand how, like, what happened to this guy? He like used to be so much the best top laner in tier 2.
I feel like it's becoming a confidence thing by this point. But I also don't want to assume this, because like I've said this a million times. Like, I'm not talking to Tenacity, not in the comms, not involved at all. So I don't know. But like, that's what that's like some of the guesses that you guys start making. Especially with some of his like duelist picks. Like, I don't know. Sometimes I watch him, I feel like he's playing a little scared when he's breaking some of those out. And the problem for me with it is these solo lane pairings are once again, in my mind, harming a very proactive, young, eager jungler. And I think now we've gone from it being like Perry's dealing with it. Like, Yukino on that promotion run was crazy. This guy was like, had like multiple 15 kills in Zao games against like really good teams. He'd be up like 5-0, like 5-1 at 15 minutes. Yeah. And like, he'd just be bodying people. And now, because he's dealing with, Tenacity, who doesn't play, like, has been playing kind of passive lanes. Young's style has always been to kind of be decently passive in these lanes. It's like shoehorning I feel like it just shoehorns and limits what Yukino can do, and then he starts overreaching, and it looks like he's inting, but he's really just playing like how I know Yukino to play. It's also probably because there's an upgrade in talent that he's playing against. Yes, like they're going to punish him for that too, but I feel like all these factors just compound, and I arrive at the same issues I've had with Disguise from last split, which is I don't know what the hell they can do with their top side. That's where I'm at.
I think that this is the classic example of a tier 2 team that is full of recently demoted tier 1 players. And that sort of vibe can sometimes work really well. But there are also times where it just becomes like a group therapy session where it's like, man, we're not there anymore. This sucks.
What happened to us? Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot of talent in these players. But I mean, it's kind of like you said, the level of like taking it seriously, I think is kind of fallen off after these guys have been in LCS and are no longer there. It takes a specific personality and drive to want to make it back into LCS that is actually very rare. You'll remember a lot of the like recent success stories of that like actually working. The most recent one being Armeo, but Dokla as well as
yeah.
Yep.
Dokla, yeah.
That's the big one. Contracts as well was a big one. And
Fox too, right? I mean,
yeah. I guess technically, yeah, he had that split where they had triple in. Like,
yeah,
dude.
Jeez. Anyway, yeah, I think it's much more common to see players like that just not really play to their peak anymore. And I don't really think that's too bad of a thing, honestly. As far as community sentiment goes, do we really think that Tenacity gives a fuck?
I mean,
I
really
don't know
that?
anymore. I mean, I see it.
I mean, I remember him, like, he gave an interview before summer of last year where he talked about wanting to come back to comp after taking a split off in light of the 100 Thieves stuff. And like being like, when he went to Korea to stream for a split, I think it felt like everybody thought he was retired, but he was pretty explicit at the time that he was like, no, I still want to play, but I'm gonna go, hardcore scrim in Korea, chill with LS, and come back and then to see if I can get LCS offers. And then choosing to play tier 2 felt like a sign that he does want to try and that he did give a fuck. But I mean, I don't know, after a split and about a half, I mean, they played 4 matches. That's half split, baby.
Yeah. Specifically, I meant that I don't think he gives a fuck about community
sentiment.
Like,
oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't think he cares about that at all.
No.
As far as like playing competitive,
but I mean, none of these players should
drive.
give a shit about what we say on here. To be very clear.
No,
but
I'm just yapping, man. I don't.
Yeah, no,
I'm
we're
wrong
just here to
all
yap,
the time, and I don't know 75% of the insight. So yeah, I should be getting flamed. If I'm not getting flamed, something is wrong with our community.
I thought you were going to say with the show, with the format of the show.
No, just the community.
I think this team has just a really good base level of talent that they can skirt by on, and they're not going to get demoted or anything.
No, not in this field.
But yeah, I also don't think that they have. I don't think that they have the same sauce that these players had when they did get promoted to LCS. I don't think the sauce is there anymore. By the way,
I think Tomo still has it.
Fun fact: 4 of the 5 players on this team are 100 Thieves next.
They are
alumni. Pretty fun.
That is true. Yeah, I guess Young's the only one who isn't, right? Because Young was on AOE.
No, yes.
Young was on. Wait, who's not then?
He was on 100
Oh,
Thieves
Tomo's
Next. It was
not.
Tomo.
Tomo's not. Yeah.
Yeah, I do think Tomo still got it. By the way, Tomo was like so critical in those wins over Team Liquid. I think he played really, really well there.
He's no Aaron, let me tell you.
I love
fair,
it.
fair. I mean,
That's-
I
yeah.
actually, I kind of agree with that a little bit. Honestly, Aaron's been so good.
Aaron's on
like
a tear.
Aaron's.
Let
been
me
getting-
ask you guys. Actually, this is my podcast now. Let me ask you
Go
a
for
question.
it. It is.
What?
Go ahead.
Where do you put Aaron in your 1 to 10? Tell me.
It's getting hard to put people above him.
Yeah. Hang on, let me think.
If it depends on the vacuum, right? Like if we're gonna go, if you want me to vacuum the 4 weeks we've seen, like yeah, he's gonna be a lot higher. If like it's a general, like I don't know. I mean,
split. And we'll throw in the C-Law as well. The C-Law split.
I mean,
Does that mean we're counting Shogo too?
Sure, yeah. Go ahead.
I don't want to do that. It's gonna make it harder for me actually. I probably
think he showed that he's
probably
better than
put
Jogo.
Tomo higher right now. That could very much change by the end of the split.
I
but
mean, it's like Tomo and like Sajed for me. I
Tomo
don't.
Sajed and maybe Scary Jerry, but
Yeah, it's Scary
and even
Jerry.
Scary
So-
Jerry maybe not. Like I think
And
it's so
I might
hard
not
to
be
separate Scary Jerry
but-
from the rest of Dragon Steel, just doing everything right all the time.
So I guess our consensus answer is knocking on top 3. I think like in
That's
some
my answer.
aspect. Yeah. So knocking on top 3.
Can't
I
have.
mean, he
I
deserves
have
it.
to be lower on Wixie. I have no choice but to be lower on Wixie.
Yeah. And then
Um,
it's you're not. It's not
Wixie looks like a
Manui.
dude who thought he was going to be retired 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
And
It's not Manui. It's not Levitate. It's not Spawn. Like
Follow-up question. These 1080 carries a year ago, where would Aaron be?
10th.
Player?
9th. I mean, I might.
Oh yeah, maybe 9th. Levitate
No,
probably
maybe
lower.
8th?
Levitate probably
No,
lower.
Okay. I might say 7. I would put him. I would have put him below Levitate, Manui, and Spawn.
You mean above
above.
Levitate, Manui, and
Above.
Spawn?
Yeah.
Okay.
So 7.
Okay.
Damn,
7,
this is like a year ago. This was like LCS
Yeah.
Spawn. This is
Oh,
like fresh out of
yeah, that's true.
LCS
Okay,
Spawn.
And it was
Okay.
again, it was
Eight.
CLG Faith Aaron.
It was CLG
Yeah.
Faith Aaron. Yes.
8. I'd put him 8.
I would call him Team Ambition Aaron. Thank you very much. But
Oh, okay.
I was
Right.
Whoa. We don't.
like
we
I
don't-
was.
I
we don't
think
give them
TDS and I
airtime.
were
I
the
think
Team
that
Ambition
is,
coverage team for forever, dude. I remember every
I
Team
know,
Ambition player.
I'm just saying we don't give that name airtime. That's what I said.
I think that's very important to keep in mind for Aaron because
Yeah.
I agree with you. I would
The
have had him
trajectory's
10th
crazy.
out of that group of players a year ago as well. And right now, I think he's the best AD carry in our league. Personally, maybe it's a little biased, but I really do. And that's really cool. I think that he really has taken the entire like grind by storm. And winning CLL was hopefully not his magnum opus, honestly. Hopefully that was just the beginning because I think he's got a really good shot to keep going. And I think I said this on Twitter, but I think he was the finals MVP of CLL. And I think he's our star player too. Guy's really good. He's
It's
not as
hard to
flashy as
disagree with-
Winnie, but
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with a lot of this. Even like if we're saying like, obviously there's some bias involved from you, but like that's you own the bias, like and that's what you gotta do, and that's the fun part. But it's hard to deny a lot of this.
Drops out.
Gordo. This is the thing, and it is starting to look more and more like for not only just Aaron that this might be that CeeLo win might have been a jumping pad instead of a magnum opus.
Yeah, and I mean, I always say I'm really like the trajectory, especially in tier 2, matters so much more than like where you're currently at. I mean, that's a good sign for him for sure. And yeah, I mean, I think he's been one of the best parts of this slew core that are continuing on from the wild card run that ended so soon.
Him and Winnie for me, are the ones that are like.
I think Darkwings has had a pretty sick split too. I'm not gonna lie. I think he's had some
Yeah.
really good games in there.
our players are kind of popping off.
They
Yeah,
are.
it's hard. It's hard to nitpick.
It is.
That's for sure.
All right. Let's let's get into AoE. I do, because AoE is going to be a big topic, and who knows how long this is going to take, and we'll try to keep it at a reasonable time. So AoE, I originally did this run a show, and I had AoE, adding Barrick, talk about Barrick, rage at AoE socials a little bit, that'll be it. And then a tweet dropped today that it sounds like they are roster changing. Pretty much 100% confirmed is Onat's going to be coming into mid lane. Onat's tweeted about it, Cupix tweeted about it. Those are the only two voices I need to hear. And the leak is that it's going to be Cozy in the top lane. That is not confirmed by anybody, but as I was telling Summer before we started, Cozy does not tweet at all. And, I mean, if you're going off the AoE Twitter, then Moose Hater's still their top laner. So, AoE Twitter's not telling you anything. So I'm gonna act as though it's the truth for the purposes of this show.
Yeah.
If you guys don't want to, you could say it's still Barrick, but I think
I agree
Cozy's
with you.
coming in.
What's the disclaimer we threw on half the rosters when we power ranked?
It's a roster projection. It's a hypothesis.
Right, yeah, we're projecting
It's a hypothetical roster.
Yeah, so you cannot hold it against us.
Yeah, we're just
right. Yeah. That's some legal jargon you're throwing at us right now.
Yeah, I think it was just all a meme.
Yeah,
we cannot be held liable for our power rankings being wrong.
We have to put that now because we got flamed for putting Maryville 10th last split when we were told it was going to be Odd Orange and
Spyrax top.
Spyrax top. So
yeah.
Now this is necessary. But let's start by talking about Barrick and his NACL debut, because I think Barrick did pretty good to kick things off.
It was not bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
agree.
he and Denethor had a pretty nice little competitive top lane series. I liked that. There are some solo kills both ways. I think the fact that Barrick has, or had, I don't know, the jungler that he has / had is not helping him. But I thought that specifically in our series, Barrick was not the reason they lost.
I think that's fair, and that I do want to shoehorn my raging at AoE socials into this Barrick point as well, just because I did this whole rant with Team Fish Taco last year, so I don't feel the need to repeat the whole thing. But how are you guys, NACL orgs? How are you, especially the ones that rely on sponsors for money? How are you guys making roster changes and not tweeting about it? How am I finding out about your roster change when Kangas tells me on the NACL broadcast? That doesn't make any sense.
Because Observer saw someone else slotted in the
how is this announcement getting pushed onto the NACL broadcast crew? I'm just assuming there won't be an announcement for this one either, because there wasn't for the last one. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand why you can't just let your fans know what you're doing to even give a modicum of engagement with the scene and tell people what's going on. That's crazy to me. And allegedly, I guess now we have promotions, so we'll have money coming in from people speculating at an LCS spot, which I'm sure will go swimmingly. But up until that announcement, ostensibly this is a league that is meant to be sustaining itself through Twitch subscriptions and sponsorships, and we can't even tweet that we're changing the players on the team.
Listen, everything has to be at a balance in the universe, all right? You get the really fun socials, like your fears and your new blue otters, I guess. You gotta have somebody on the other side that doesn't tell you anything, right? That's how it works. We can't all just be really good at socials. Or you
I think
simply
that's called
could.
Bad writing.
Yeah, that's called. Yeah, it is. That is.
You
what it is.
could give everyone
facetious.
plot development if you wanted to.
Yeah. You could just be good.
You don't
at
need
socials.
You don't need to just kill off one of the characters like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Their
glad you
gameplay is
picked
kind
up
of
on
doing
life.
that too.
Yeah.
Heyo. Yep.
All right. Well, anyway, rant over. Let's talk about the top lane change first. So,
Yeah, I can't say anything about that, by the way. We announced our roster week 2, so I've...
You did announce your roster week 2, but you did at least announce it at some point. But
We
you
announced
dealt-
a
you
roster
also-
before.
Yeah. I mean,
you
you
did.
also
and
dealt
you
with
announced a roster
most-
before. That's the other thing. You had
and it was the
extenuating
most chaotic.
circumstances.
You probably had the most chaotic, non-self-inflicted switch up compared to everybody else. So yeah,
It's fair.
I appreciate the cope excuses. We
Yeah.
did still do that.
You can make excuses.
it did happen.
I don't. All right, let's talk about Barrick for Cozy for Moose Hater. Screw it. This is gonna be their third top laner of the year. How are they all? How are they all stacking up to each other? I'm surprised we're even replacing Barrick, especially with Cozy. No hate to Cozy. Also a Team Ambition alum, by the way. I like him as a player. I think he may very well give you like a lane to play towards. Like he will be looking to, I hope, play his Akalis and his Yones and all of his crazy top lane stuff that he likes to lean into, especially in a full fearless format. But I mean, if I'm power ranking my tier 3 top laners, I don't know that I have Cozy above Barrick. It's a surprising move for me to see Cozy getting his NACL debut here this way at this point with this recent performance quota that he's got for himself with those misfit teams that he's just been playing on with his bros, which I mean, no shame for that, but
Yeah.
you know, there was an era where Cozy was playing on the most competitive NACLQ teams he could get and was like trying to gun for this league, and it feels like that era is a little behind us.
Well, it feels like that's kind of what's happening with. This is kind of the reason why it's happening. That's what it feels like with a lot of these AoE players. I mean, that's what Onat's doing. Onat tweet was like very, very real. He was like,
Coming back for
"Hey,
the boys.
the homies needed me. I'm coming back. I'm still looking for I'm still looking for other stuff. I'm not going LCS or not staying in ACL." And then Wixie, probably the same thing. Came out for the homies, and now so Cozy's just like, all
the
right.
homies are dropping like flies, man. I thought the whole point of this team was that they were all the homies,
Well,
and now half
they're
of them are
reloading more
gone.
homies. They're reloading more homies. Bring me a homie that plays crazy duelist top this time. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to figure out, but it's seeming like that from like the little information we're getting from the players, not from the org.
Oh, God
Yeah.
forbid it come from the org.
So first of all, there's a reason that Barrick is still listed as a sub.
Is it because he's still
I'll
a
just
sub?
say that. He is. Yeah.
Okay.
Whoa,
I was
Gordo!
trying to read into that.
Holy
You know
moly.
what? There are two reasons why he's
Okay,
still
okay.
listed as a sub. Yeah, on the lineup that they played with last weekend, I think that Barrick would be the fourth player that I would have replaced on that roster. And by that point, just throw the whole team out. So I don't know why you would get to your fourth player to replace. Speaking of, two of those guys that I would have replaced before Barrick are still here. So I don't know what we're doing.
No.
It's not Wixie.
Yeah, I mean, I know.
I think
the
No, I
Breezy's
just
been-
wanted to
that's
make
the
it
thing.
I think
as-
Breezy's
Yeah.
been all right.
clear as possible.
Yeah, I think Breezy's been all
He
right.
has
but I
been
get
an
it.
NACL support. This is okay.
That's
if
that's
we
been
start
Breezy's
talking about
whole
NACL
career.
supports, if we start talking about NACL supports, then you're going to get me in a huge rant.
Well, the
yeah.
support pool in development.
Yeah, I was
in
gonna say
North-
he's an
Dev
NACL
North
support
America
is
right
more than
now
you could
is
say
like-
about some of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, support right now in North America is it's something. It's
Yeah,
I don't know what word to describe.
So okay, if anyone listening or if you guys haven't tuned into the co-stream that I do with Beep, he and I play a little game where we haven't given it a title yet, but we make a bet before the game begins, and the bet is we both say a number for how many deaths we think each support combined will have before the first Warmogs is purchased.
Okay.
You wanna take a guess as to what the highest number has been so far?
Oh,
So this is
no.
both supports combined before either
Both supports
completes
combined
Warmogs.
deaths before a Warmogs is purchased by the supports.
by the supports.
Yeah,
yes.
by supports.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm gonna guess that
it's
the peak is
double
like
digits
13.
for sure. Yeah,
It's
I was
15.
I was gonna
that's
say
close.
15. Dang it! That's
15 is the
insane.
highest that we've hit so far. I think the lowest has been 8.
That's got to be like
The
one of
lowest
those
is
games.
The lowest is 8.
The lowest is 8.
The lowest is 8. Granted, we do have SkyTech as our support, and that guy goes on adventures. Some good, some bad. But yeah.
15 was that like the game that Kim Down went like 0-8 on Rel or something?
Oh no, that was this weekend. The 15 one. That was Zyko and Sky going at it.
Zyko and Sky.
Yeah.
Oh,
you can go back in the VOD and watch it.
Running it.
Highly recommend you play this game at home. It is very fun.
That does sound very fun.
That does sound fun. We should do that. But
it's very toxic, but it is very fun.
Oh man.
The other name someone was gonna say, there was a tweet that I thought was kind of crazy and funny to say was, I think wasn't it? I think it was Colliver that tweeted out. He's like, I gotta know what dirt NXI has on NACL rosters. I'm assuming that's the other person you were talking about replacing.
She's talking about replacing 4 players.
That's also true. But
they replaced.
She said 2.
Yeah. Well, no, I think they should have replaced QPick. I think that whole situation, I understand the whole thing. I understand taking a gamble on that player. The other options being thrown around were not good, to say the least. I think at that point you should have just kept Onat. I don't know why they replaced him to begin with, but if you were going to do that, I understand why you would try to take a gamble on a player who has been very high on the solo queue ladder.
I mean, I get the NA mid pool is shallow. I get it.
Yeah.
Like if you don't want to do, like if you're
I
not
don't
going
think it's shallow enough to replace Onat though. Like I don't know why.
No,
they did that.
that's not exactly. That's why I'm saying I think you do keep Onat. Because it's like, who are you, especially with Samikin promoting, and Bradley, of course, promoting, like, who are you going to grab of, like, tier 3 mids that, like, has that kind of upside, right? Is like, we going to do Robbie Bob again? I like Robbie Bob, but, like, I think
probably not.
We've seen him at NACL a lot. I think you'd rather just keep Onat.
Yeah. Yeah. So that whole situation, I understand. Shout out to QPick on our stream. I just kept calling him the VTuber, but he actually did play very well in our series. He had a really nasty.
How do you tell him apart from Samikin then?
Huh?
Samikin's also a VTuber.
Right.
True.
VTuber team number 2 is our next opponent, I guess. Blue Otter has earned number 1 at this point. They're better than AoE, but the big core issue with this AoE roster has not been addressed with the 2 roster moves, which is that they have NXI and Breezy on the team, and these guys are just not working well together at all. I know it's been pretty public knowledge for a while that since NXI was no longer working with the FlyQuest org, that a lot of that was down to like personality issues and like tilt and not really coordinating well, and I do not see that being fixed here. Didn't see it fixed on CLG Faith, that's for sure. And I can feel Breezy's frustration in the gameplay. Like, you ever have those games where you watch a player and you just know that they are playing emotional? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm getting that. And I hate to see that, because I know Breezy's is a pretty chill guy. I see the rage, the smoke coming out of the ears.
Yeah.
It definitely stinks, because I think Wixie and Breezy were always such an underrated duo across a couple of these splits. I know Gordo. What was the one split like we were doing? Was it last one or the one before?
Last split, I was so high on the AoE roster.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have kept 4 out of 5 of the players. Like I liked the Zamudo, Rosethorn, Onat team. With Wixie.
Yeah, why did they drop Rosethorn, by the way?
They had him as a sub for a while, and I think they still do. No? Or is he not even a sub
I was
anymore?
under the impression that he was going to be starting for this team.
He is still a sub.
And then once the roster announcement came out, 1, I was surprised about QPick. 2, where is Rosethorn? Why is he dropped?
Yeah, I had heard NXI for a while. I was hearing a different mid laner up until the end.
Yeah, that's what I was referring to before.
Yeah.
Glad they didn't go with that guy.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. But I don't understand. Like Zamudo going to Maryville, probably his choice, probably better than AoE.
For sure.
Good move by Zamudo.
He's a student there. So
he is now, yeah, right?
yeah, very, very smart decision.
Yeah, good call by Zamudo.
Take it from me. Get out of tier 3,
good,
tier
good
2
call by
league.
Zamudo. He was
collegiate.
he was one of those last standing players who was not. I guess there's actually quite a few, but who was like right at the age to start college and hadn't made the leap. So good for him to go and play for Maryville, especially. I mean, what a great situation for him as well, by the way. Like, just getting to come into a team like this. Huge for Zamudo. The best team he's ever played on. It's by choosing to go to school instead of be on amateur orgs. Yeah, but other than that, I mean, like, you could have just gotten, like, honestly, get Moose Hater and run it back. Like, I think you wouldn't be dead last, going to get relegated then,
That guy
probably.
doesn't care about this league.
Sure, but, like, you probably wouldn't be dead last, going to get kicked out of the league with that team.
Yeah, I mean, I think the overarching theme here is just that the vibe everyone can get from AoE as an org is they're kind of just airmailing this. That's what it feels like. I don't know. I mean, and then you could open up a whole debate of inference about why not just sell the spot earlier. I don't know, but this is just a rough trajectory to watch.
And it's like they clearly care about the spot because they gave Onat a raise.
Yeah.
So like they clearly want to win games and have the spot.
Here's the thing. I don't think I don't think winning NACL games is their goal anymore. I just think they don't want to lose to Dragoon.
Yeah. Fair.
That's really what this reads to me as is
sure.
All right, Onat, come back, beat your old Supernova teammates so we don't lose our spot, and then we'll kick you again at the end of the year.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see if Sudsy can promote for a third time and still not start NACL. The goons.
It's like they just forget his age every time, and then he pops back up, and they're like, "Wait a minute!"
They read it, and they're like, "Oh." No, it's funny because it's true. Yeah, like I mean, I think Onat's an upgrade for them for sure, but yeah, I don't like it. It's very bizarre that this team even came together, and I think this will be one that we look back on and are very confused about, probably for a while. But I don't know. They took a long shot for it. It does seem like Cupic decided that they said it was mutual. At least Cupic said it was mutual. I'm just surprised. Like, if you're gonna swing for the fences like that, I feel like Cupic was doing better than expected, given what he's shown. Like when he got his Seraphine, it was really dangerous. He had that really good Anivia game. I don't know what more you can expect out of a guy that's never played a game of OQs before, but or I guess he did play a game of OQs, but it was like as a bot laner, right? Or as a support or something.
Yes.
And they went like 2 and 3 in Swiss. But yeah, I mean, best of luck to AoE and those guys on how they're going to be able to come back. I do want to talk a little bit about like our contender teams. We talked about Dragonsteel a little bit already. Fierce Starforge taking their first loss here. How are we on the old? I mean, this is the real XLCS player team, right? I mean, I suppose it's largely true for Disguised as well, but plenty of those guys on Fierce Starforge, particularly between XU, Blaze Olive, as the mid jungle. This team was like on a tear for a while, but they're doing the same thing that Fear did last split, despite being a totally different roster, which is they go to 3 games every single series. So it's hard to have the big confidence in them, even when they were 3-0. And now the one time they don't go to 3, it's because they're getting swept by a team I had lower than them. So it is literally last split, because that's what Wildcard did to them last time. Right after I committed on this show to, I don't think Wildcard's going to win any more games or win any more series. And then they immediately 2-0 sweep Fear.
That's what we're going to do to them again.
You might.
Because we're basically wild card.
You are basically wild. That's what I was saying in the preseason. This is a revamped wild card team, and now with Skytech instead of Doxa and Denethor instead of Quacker.
True.
Yeah, I think Fear's pretty good. Glad to see XU still playing.
He's so good. It's almost like I feel like, especially the broadcast narrative about them is like they need to be perfect all the time. So, like, in light of that, it feels...
They're not, though.
It feels like they're... It almost feels like they're underperforming with all the hype that goes into them, like, on the cast with whatever narratives they're going with every week. But, all in all, I mean, I think this is a solid NACL team. I would not be shocked to see them make it to Brazil.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd be a
I
little
still
surprised
think,
about that.
yeah, I still think they're. I'm not surprised when they make the finals of NACL. This
Finals sends you to
they're.
Brazil. It's top 2.
Yeah, that's
Oh
Brazil.
yeah,
Top two is Brazil.
whoops. Okay, yeah. So I'm still in that same camp personally, but I also am very high on Fear Starforge. I'm also the guy that grades on vibes because that's fun when you don't know actually too much about the league. And Fear Starforge is an awesome vibe team. AOE, take notes on your socials from any of their guys because my God, they're outperforming you. Just individual ones, not even like the collective.
I think that's fair. I do think, like, they looked rough in the series against Supernova, though. Like, it's interesting. I suppose game 1 probably should have gone to Supernova. Like, Diamond gets a miracle steal on the Soul with a Leona auto attack in that game. So maybe they're not supposed to necessarily win that game. But apart from that, like game 2, like Ken v Brand is just cycling top lane, just killing Philip over and over and over again, and the game just ends. Like it was surprisingly one-sided from a Supernova team that I felt like had been struggling to close games even against far weaker teams.
Yeah, I definitely thought that series would be more competitive. That's for sure. 2-0 was really surprising to me, especially because I think Fear is better than Supernova. But I mean, I don't know if I should keep thinking that at this point.
I haven't been. I thought Fear was better than Supernova, and I've been very high on Supernova.
Yeah, I'm still pretty high, but high. I was just I wish it was a 3-game series because this was the matchup between like the two junglers where you were like, all right, why are they here? In my mind, at least, I think
Yuji's in that camp too.
Well, Yuji is too, but like the ones that have come back.
But Yuji's
down,
an import, so
like,
you know why he's here. It's because teams don't want to give him the slot.
Yeah, so like XU versus Kenvi, I pray we get a playoff matchup of those two going at each other.
Yeah.
Because that'll be very, very fun.
I don't think either of those two junglers are top 2 junglers in the league.
So you have who? Yuji and
Keel.
Keel.
And Keel.
I do think Keel's been quite good.
I think Keel's up to replace Umpty.
I thought you were going to say Yuji Shaden too. I mean, that's also going to be an answer.
Shaden's a good answer as well. There's so many good junglers in this
Shaden's
league.
really good. No, I think it's mostly because he's on Team Liquid, honestly. But I think the guy who has the highest chance to go LCS is Keel. And
when you say go LCS, you mean in general or for this summer specifically?
The soonest.
Okay.
Oh.
I think a lot of these junglers could be in LCS.
I agree.
Yeah, there are a few junglers that I don't in the league right now that I don't see sticking around too much longer. I think eventually the league is. I know we were just talking about Armeo and contracts, but I think those guys probably aren't going to be up there for too much longer. And at that point, like guys like Shade and UG slot right in. But I think because he's on Team Liquid and because he's performing very well right now, I think there's a chance that he makes it up there.
I could see that. I think it would
like fast.
It would be good for Keel. I think Keel. He had a rough spring. I feel like him and Romer took a little while to gel, but they are on form now. I think the mid jungle's the best part.
Yeah, this last weekend was incredible.
Yeah, I think that they are. I mean, Romer plays all the AD mids. Keel plays all the AP junglers, and they are happy to just jam.
Including Nunu.
Yeah, they are.
Nobody else plays Nunu.
Nobody else plays Nunu. I think his Udyr was good. Like they will just jam. They'll jam any AD mid, any AP jungler, and they'll clap everybody. I think they're. Yeah. I don't know how they lost to Disguised, but as long as they don't do that, much more.
I do. That was that should not have been a loss. I think that was a fluke entirely.
Was that
the third game?
Yeah, that third game was the Elder Steel game, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that was the really stupid one where they, by all accounts, should have won. Yes, and there's the guy that they stole.
Shout out Aegis for me winning that.
Oh yeah, you did win that from Aegis.
I did win the giveaway. That's what I picked.
Ridiculous.
Elder Dragon.
Yeah, that shouldn't have been a loss for Team Liquid. They should be 4-1 right now in second place, but they got scammed out of that win.
Agree with that.
And I My hot take is that the finals is going to be them and us.
TL Winthrop.
That is a hot
Because
take.
we're going to be on
like
other sides. We're going to be on opposite sides of the bracket probably. Because I think we're going to be 3-4.
Okay.
I think we both win our first, like our matchup against 1-2, and then we're in the upper finals, and then I think we're going to meet again in the grand finals.
So,
Or it'll go the other way where one of us makes a lower bracket run. But
so kind of a tangent for you, Summer, because you mentioned playoffs. How do you feel about Winthrop in the full Fearless Best of 5 format? And then, are there any teams that you feel like will benefit more from the fact that they're going to be playing this like totally new format with when Best of 5s and that Fearless rolls through? Like, how are you feeling about that? It's a little bit of a long projection, but you brought up playoffs.
yeah, so the best of 5 full Fearless it's batshit crazy. First of all,
Yeah.
we are going down to the wire if it gets to game 4. Game 5 is another thing entirely. We don't even get bans.
You don't
in
get
game
bans.
5. You know
I
that?
mean, Blue Side game
You know
5
what?
goes crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Holy moly.
I mean, maybe. What champions are first pickable after 40 of them are gone is the thing.
Whatever you've been banning all game long all series long on Red Side.
That's true.
I
Yeah,
guess so.
actually
That's
true.
where Tristana, Zyra come in.
Yeah.
I guess
that
those
actually
champions
been
are
crazy.
not fair, by the way.
Oh, Zyra
Just
jungle's
agree.
disgusting. I think it's worse than Tristana mid, but that's just me.
Tristana mid is the best champion in the entire game, Slayer.
I don't know.
That champion's
man.
unbeatable.
The damage those plants be doing over walls, under turrets, is just so mind-boggling.
You want to talk about damage to turrets?
No, under turrets. Like you root them and you drop the plants. There's 4 plants. They just delete your entire backline while they're under like a tier 3 turret. But
I think people should be playing more Morgana, personally. I think it's got a good matchup in Zyra, and I think it is
definitely would.
I'm a Morgana supporter.
Competent, no, Morgana jungle, not support.
I
know, I'm joking.
Morgana supporter. He's a supporter of Morgana. Oh,
I know.
I've jammed a fair bit of Morgana mid in my time. I would not endorse.
Okay, well, you're a
right
psycho
now.
for that. I think she's really good jungle, though. Very good with AD carries in the mid lane, also.
Yep.
Black Shield, your Tristana.
Agree.
What is the enemy team going to do?
cry.
Anyway, exactly.
Agree.
Um,
Q will play it at some point this season.
What was I talking about?
You were talking about
best
full,
best
yeah.
of 5
Yeah,
Fearless.
Fearless Best of 5. What happens in game 5?
I think this is fair to say. Nobody's screaming for that right now.
No.
Nobody is.
I hear nobody's even
people-
screaming Fearless. Everybody's.
Oh,
Are you guys screaming Fearless?
everybody is
That's
screaming
also-
Fearless.
You guys are screaming Fearless? Okay.
That's not a specific to my team league. Everybody is screaming
All right.
screaming Fearless. The way that it works is you play first 3 games Fearless and then it resets.
Okay.
And then you do another Fearless set basically.
Gotcha.
Every team is doing that. In NACL, I think LCS teams are refusing to do that depending on which one you get.
Yeah.
But and the like if you're screaming like a LAN team or something. But yeah, everybody's screaming Fearless. I don't think anyone is fully thinking about Best of 5 Fearless yet, because it is just an entirely different beast to what's going on right now. But I think for the most part, the teams that are going to benefit the most from this are going to be the ones that don't have the crutch of AP jungle, AD mid, engage support. Because every team is playing exclusively that right now. Yeah. Like, that's everyone's default.
Yeah. Other
Like,
than
people will mix
like
it up.
Blue Otter
People will,
will play like
throw
a Vi
Azir.
Hui every now
Yeah.
and then.
And that's good for them. Like they will benefit from this, from the change after it goes that far. But when you get to that point, there just aren't gonna be enough champions to fully compose a composition that includes an AP jungler, an AD carry mid lane, and an engage support. That's just not possible. So, and I'm a support player, so this is going to be not a surprise. I think the hardest one to really grasp that will be difficult to adjust to is the engage support and not having one. Because teams are very, very used to having an engaged support. It's been the meta for 10 years, basically. So much so that Ardent meta didn't take off until literally Worlds. Like it was just sleeper for super, super long. And then one day teams were like, oh, wait, I can play Lulu. And it actually works. Teams just don't have that as a default at all. So I think teams are really going to need to prepare for a strategy that does not involve an engage support or does not involve AP jungle. Like these sorts of things are very, very important. And the teams that are still kind of finding their rhythm, or if they're in a rut at the time and they like really need to have like a default style that they go for, that's just not possible in best of 5 fearless. You cannot be a one-trick team like you could in regular draft, which I think is really interesting. And I think everyone is a fan of fearless right now, the full fearless. I don't see any complaints about that. I think it's really cool that you can deny a team from playing a champion just by picking it yourself in the game before. I think that's badass. But I don't think people have really grasped how difficult it's going to be to play a game 4 of full fearless, or a game 5, God forbid.
Yeah. And we'll get our first taste this weekend? Next week? Well, because the qualifier finals.
Oh,
is best of
yeah,
5.
fair. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because qualifiers are full
Just
fearless.
finals.
So
So our
yeah,
first
well,
taste,
okay.
NA's
I guess
first
you're
taste
right.
will be this
Yeah,
weekend.
that's a good
So
point.
And that's the
well,
same format.
for playing the day. In 2 days from now.
Oh, 2 days from when this drops. Yes, there you go.
Yep.
That's true.
Which is now, because we're in the future.
We are in the future. Yeah, no, that's it.
Yep.
That's a good call out, Slayer. Yeah, that'll be interesting
I'm good for a
to watch.
couple of
That'll
those.
be good. That'll be like either Pulse or Lotus
One or two.
versus Dragoons Goons. That'll be a good match.
And
You sleeping
I
on
just
the Duckies.
I am sleeping on the
it's
Duckies.
Kinda
Yeah,
weird.
I love
it's
the
gonna
Duckies.
stink,
Look, the Duckies. I'm the biggest Rough Beans fan in the scene. All right,
That's true. He Gordo has been tapped into the Rough Beans.
I have it,
like, the
dude.
Rough
He made
Beans
an
for a hot
ACL
minute.
finals run. I remember I was in.
Beats Anakin.
I was like begging.
Like-
I was begging this guy in post-match ACL interviews, like, dude, just play OQs, please.
Yep. Yeah.
I have a
Better
fun
than
fact about our top 4 right now, by the way.
99% of NA mids. What's your story? Sorry.
Fun fact about the qualifiers top 4 teams right now. Hiccup on the Ducky Getters is the second ever woman to make it to top 4 in tier 3.
I've been thinking about that math. It's Mia's the other one, yeah?
It is Ayukura.
Oh, because she was on Taco.
Oh.
Mia never did it with EGP?
I don't believe so. Not like in this same format. Maybe Mia did do it though. I think though.
Still a fun fact.
It is a fun fact.
I'm pretty sure that Mia went like straight to like the 16 team tier 2 though. Does that count?
She played on EGP before she played on TLF.
I know that,
Yeah.
but maybe she is 3. Well, either way, very cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree. Huge for all 3 of those players. Hiccup, Dr. Calculus, and Bio, all 3 of them
True,
on their like first OQ run, being able to make it. That's huge for them.
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Calculus, I talked to him at the Run the Rift Combine. He was just like, this is my first Combine. I've played collegiate. I'm just here to have fun, see what happens. Now the guy's top 4. So that's cool. We just got to hope, though, for the full Fearless thing, that it's not a sweep. Because that just stink. It'd be like, oh, okay, well, that's just best of 3 format we've seen all month long. But we need the game 4 rules at least to come into play.
One more fun fact about Hiccup: she was going to be on my Game Changers team, but she was studying abroad and was not in the country. So
good stuff.
we ended up with Shirley, who is now on Supernova. So that's pretty cool.
No, huge.
Funny how
for
things
Hiccup.
work out. But,
Maybe this is how Ryle finally gets to actually play on a team, because she's looking for team every split and never gets one.
Yeah, she's been bouncing around like 20th or whatever.
Bagudas is
on
saplings. Well, and even that, like, that team didn't get to actually play.
That team like fell apart.
Yeah.
Kind of a bummer. I don't think we've ever seen her peak, Alice. So
agree. Yeah.
So even on the Game Changers team, I mean, we had the whole I don't know if you guys followed that tournament that much, but we had a whole jungler situation there that was not good.
I like tuned in, but I don't remember. I did not like commit the teams
That's
to
okay.
memory.
Well,
I don't.
a long time ago.
I'll be able to find it.
It's not like there's going to be game changers again anytime soon.
Are we? Yeah. Do we
That's
know that there's not going to be one this year?
Yeah.
Ah, well, that's a
wow.
shame.
Well, that's
By this time last year, the game changers was already announced, and it was pretty late about that point too. I think, or maybe it was within like a week or two of today. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's cooked.
It's probably cooked. Yeah. Well, that's a depressing side tangent there. Let's.
well. I mean, this was that's the side tangent to the side tangent to the tangent that I caused. So
That's
like,
true.
We've been on.
Yeah.
That's true.
We're just off the beat
Well,
road. by the
let
we're
more women on your
trailblazing.
OQ teams. That's the lesson from.
Hiccup, good.
Yeah.
I've been a fan of her for about 5 years now, by the way.
Sweet. Well,
There we
happy
She was
to see
playing
her.
in a league called Phoenix Rising League
I-
back when I was the caster of that.
Good stuff. Yeah, hope she
Wow,
can keep
all
that
that.
run going. But no, I'm not going to be predicting the Goons to win out there. But we'll see. Or I am going to be predicting the Goons to win out there. But I don't know. They looked a little shaky against BlackRock, so it's doable. It's doable for sure. Let's talk about the 2-2-1-3 mass real quick before we round things out. Winthrop's technically in that. Blue Otter, CCG, Supernova, and Disguised. We've yapped about a few of these teams already. I want to talk about who we see breaking out of the group a little bit, and I do also want to talk about if CCG is doomed to 9th. You guys can jump on either one of those questions as you please.
So this is gonna sound like a homer take from me based off my primer takes, but I do think, based off of what we've heard specifically from Riot about how they want to change the game up in these upcoming patches, with Tristana Corki, I think if those changes come soon enough, Blue Otter will have a chance to jump, because while Samikin has been doing, he's been doing great, right?
On 80 minutes, it's not
He's a
his
mage
meta.
player.
He's a mage player, right? Like he made his name on the Zoe. He has a great pocket pick Lux. His Talia is fantastic. His Hui is fantastic. So
His A-Soul's great.
His A-Soul's great. So if we see these changes where like 80 mids get a big nerf, like Tristana Corki, they fall out. And we all know what it's going to. Everyone's gravitating back towards the mages. Well, everyone will just go back to the mages, which is boring. But I think it's something that will really boost up Blue Otter's stock, because now we're going to be seeing Samikin on his picks as one of those carry players on Blue Otter. I think, like, from a patch standpoint, Blue Otter is a team that can certainly rise up. And who doesn't love that, based off what we've seen from the org as a whole since they've gotten to this point?
Yeah. I'll make you a promise right now, Slayer. I think it's going to still be AD mids through playoffs. It's going to be the pre-Worlds patch where Riot nerfs Faded Ashes and totally shifts the entire meta after everyone's already qualified for Worlds. That's 100% what's going to happen.
List? It's like Zyra, Brand, Lilia, like all of them are getting hit.
Yeah, but as champions, the Faded Ashes are still going to be there. So people are going to they're going to move to Morgana. They're going to play more Udyr. They're going to
I hope so.
Music's onto it. They're going to play a Mumu.
The only reason I brought it up
Munu's
was because Riot came out and was like, we know Tristana Corki are a problem. So I felt like this was a valid enough take to have.
I agree.
Yeah.
But I think it'll stay as long as Faded Ashes is the way that it is.
Probably.
Yeah, and they're going to nerf Faded Ashes pre-Worlds and fuck up the whole tournament. I know they will. I've been here too long. I know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Could be.
But, and it isn't the... I guess it isn't the easiest schedule for Blue Otter down the stretch either. But they still have to play Fly C. They have to play Supernova and a TLC team that we all are a lot higher on, or like are revving up. So I don't know. I'll stick to my guns. How I felt about Blue Otter all season long. Yeah, of course. And the Winthrop matchup's not gonna be fun at all either. It won't be easy for them either.
I think they can be disguised.
That'll be fun. Yeah.
I also think they can be disguised.
But the way things are going, I expect them to be at the very least coming into that matchup on a 2-game loss series streak, because they'll go Fly C, TLC into them.
As far as regular season goes, I have I basically have the entire league divided into clumps of 2, effectively. I think that Dragonsteel and FlyQuest are going to end top 2, and then after that, I think it's going to be us and TL. After that, it's going to be Fear and Supernova, and then Disguised and Blue Otter, and then CCG and Area Effect. I don't know between those like pairings. I can't say between those two, other than AoE is going to be obviously 10th. And Dragonsteel already beat FlyQuest, so hey, that's Dragonsteel. Congratulations, you get first place. But yeah, that's sort of my projection. There could be some movement. I think specifically 3 to 6, there could be some movement there. I don't see Disguised as sticking around in the top half much longer. I would slot them to fall down, and yeah, I do think that CCG is buddying up with AoE and taking it in the promotion tournament, but I don't think either of them are going to relegate.
You don't think anybody's going to promote?
Nah.
I could see the Goons doing it.
I
I mean, they've got
but-
Dragoon Kisno. That'd be their 3-peat, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
that'd be fun.
And Sudsy's done it. This will be Sudsy's 3rd as well. Not with those 2, but he's done it thrice.
The only
Well, he's done
reason
it
I'm
twice.
hesitant to
This will be
say,
3.
yeah, the only reason I'm hesitant to say, just to definitively say nobody will promote, is because there are rumblings that some bigger players are going to pull up to qualifier 2 to try and make a run at the first.
Yeah,
seed.
I mean, if
good.
Mobility gets on a team and wins the whole thing and like looks like he's got the fire in his eyes and he wants to avenge everybody for dropping him, could be big. I'd root for him, honestly.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the thing about that is you have to win the entire second thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Assuming it is like an entirely new team.
Yeah,
I mean, David
or like
can slot
you
onto,
could
like,
join like
I don't know, like
the thing is,
Lotus,
such weird
something.
teams got a bunch of extra points this time around.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess this calls back to that who you said you easily had an 80 carry underperforming. Were you talking about? When you said top 8, you were talking about the top 8
seeding.
teams
I was talking about
playoffs, right?
Euphoria.
Oh, the seeding.
Yeah, I was saying like
okay.
Euphoria,
Oh.
Narium,
Oh, I was
who's a
thinking
pretty
Wangdown,
good
but-
roster,
okay.
who clearly.
Except for Thanos, yeah.
Except for
Man,
Thanos.
if David was on that team from the beginning, see, this is what I was talking about with the
that team would have went
with
nuts.
the roster lock thing, because David was locked in as our sub on that day, and they didn't let him play for Euphoria. But if he got to play with Papa, oh my god!
Oh, was he considering
That-
playing for Euphoria?
Yeah, of course,
Let's
yeah.
fucking
Papa's a
go,
student
boys!
there.
I called it. No, I did not know
He
that.
and Papa are boys. Yeah, Papa. I don't remember which building he lived in. I don't think he and I were neighbors, but yeah, he
I know.
was
Yeah,
still here in Northeast, I know.
Papa / conveying is a
Yeah.
woo guy.
Yep.
Mhm.
I was going off the top 8 that we have from the playoffs, so I thought you meant
Mm.
Wangtown personally.
Oh,
but-
I mean, I could also see that. Although Wangtown are like bros. I would be surprised to see Deathwalker
Yeah.
off of Wangtown.
that's true.
Those are the homies.
I think Papa and Shimmer are one of the best mid jungles in all of Tier 3 right now.
Yeah.
So if
And they got-
if that's where David goes, then that's a pretty real threat.
They got
for the
Barrick,
first place.
assuming they still have Barrick and he's not sticking around as a sub on AoE. And
Yeah, that's kind of the thing too, huh?
Yeah,
They might
and
not,
then-
but
yeah, I'm a big Light Pulse fan. So
Oh
well,
yeah.
I'm not. But I mean, you can get a different support.
yeah,
Uh,
you get Doxa. His Nightblood Gaming certainly didn't work out.
Yeah, I
yep,
guess so.
that's true. All right, well, Gordo, who's the team that you expect to jump out of that grouping to go back to the point?
That big,
that
yeah.
we were on?
I mean, that big grouping. It's
Yeah.
got to be Supernova for me. I mean, I'm so.
Well, yeah, that's the obvious.
yeah,
pick.
and it's
I'm- yeah.
Summers is clearly going to be Winthrop. No, if we're
Well,
talking
yeah.
about teams
Oh,
that are
yeah.
currently 2 and 2.
Yeah.
I already told you. I think it's
Yeah.
us and FlyQuest.
Yeah. I think
Does
I don't
FlyQuest
even
count for
count
that?
FlyQuest as in that group because FlyQuest is 2 and 1. They've played 3 matches while 3 teams have played 5 matches.
Okay,
I
well,
don't-
we've only lost to FlyQuest and Dragon.
that's true. Yeah, no, I mean fair. That's totally no. I think your justifications are present.
Our like competitive split hasn't even begun yet. Okay,
That's fair.
we've lost to the top 2 teams and we've beat the shitters. So
Yep.
we need to actually like place our mark here because it could be third, it could be seventh. I don't know yet.
I do have to rage at the scheduling again, though. Like, how are there teams with 5 matches played and teams with 3 matches played at the same time? Just don't.
Are there 3? Oh, it's
FlyQuest. FlyQuest has only played 3 matches.
And AOE's 0-5 with 5 matches.
DSCL's 5-0 and Team Liquid's 3-2. There's 3 teams that have played 5. Well, FlyQuest has still only played 3. I don't understand how we get here.
We have the first week and the last week off, which I think is really weird. Yeah. Like we don't get to open and we don't get to close. Like,
yeah,
kind of sucks.
I don't understand. They really do just be making the schedule random. I don't understand. I remember doing the math last time. I can't do it because now we have the summer break with Riot delaying the patch an extra week, so it makes all the math weird. But I remember last split, I was doing so much stuff trying to work backwards and find a way to make it make sense. Like, oh, maybe they're playing the same amount, and the teams are all playing the same amount on each patch or something like that. Not the case. Totally random. Doesn't make any sense. And
you guys played Swarm though? That shit's worth it.
Played Swarm. Is that a game?
Yeah.
Oh, the new mode. No, I have not played Swarm.
Yeah, it's worth it.
Oh,
for the patch break. That game mode is so good. You guys ever play Vampire Survivors?
I have not. I have friends who are super into it though.
It's that, but you get to play as Yasuo.
Yeah,
that's cool. It reminds me of that one. It reminds me of that one Black Ops 1 map that was like the.
Oh, the like bonus top-down shootery map.
Yeah,
the
top-down shootery map. Yeah, that's one. That's the vibe I got when I saw it.
That's fair.
Yeah, that game is so fun. If you like Swarm, by the way, if anyone's listening, I don't know. If you try out Swarm and you're like, this shit is cool, play Vampire Survivors. It's like $5, and you can play it on your Switch too. I play that shit on the flights. Slaying vampires.
That's a pretty fun play. That's
you are the vampire who's slaying other things.
That's a pretty underrated place to play those type of games, though. Like a flight.
I know. It's so good. It just kills like 30 minutes. You're just moving around, killing shit. That shit is so fun. Anyway, League of Legends.
Yeah, I mean that's the endorsement. I mean, I think League of Legends is done for the day. We talked about every team.
Oh, okay.
At least
CCG.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead.
Do we all think they're doomed in peril?
Yeah. Do you have a CCG take?
Yeah.
It sounds like Summer thinks they're doomed.
I want to wait to see how they play their Super Week because I think these are really 2 good litmus tests. Their matchups, playing Disguise and then playing AOE, because obviously everyone already knows, at least for AOE side, like you're playing to try and if you don't beat CCG, you're 10th. Like you're 10th. Whoops.
You guys realize that they've killed fewer Nexuses than AOE has, yeah?
Yeah.
Their game score is
They've
worse.
played fewer games than AOE has.
Yeah.
They've played. Yeah. They've killed 1 fewer Nexus, but they've played 4 fewer games.
I just want to wait to see how they look against these 2 teams because I think this will really define their range. And then also after this, it's just a rough end of the year. It's Fear, it's Winthrop, and then it's FlyQuest at the very last week. So if they're doomed, like they're going to be doomed or not doomed after this week to me. Based off of the rest of their schedule.
They've already got their one scam win in off of the alcove play. I don't think they're getting any more.
Yeah.
Oh man. We're talking about Trevor.
Like maybe they beat AoE. I don't know.
We're talking about Trevor hanging out in alcove for 4 minutes.
Yeah.
That
was 2.5. Crazy. I counted.
That's awesome.
But it is still crazy that happened and worked and single-handedly won them the game. That's insane.
It's gorgeous. I mean, that's
It's something I would expect from Trevor. It's also something I totally would have seen SkyTech doing. By the way, he so would have sat at the alcove. That's a SkyTech flag brewing.
I mean, the NACL supports, man. It's not real. Let me just say, I don't think that. I don't think it's working. Whatever we've got, we need.
Okay, the next gen's
to put Core JJ into this league for a little bit and just let him thrash us all, and then at that point, like maybe we can get our shit together. But
the next gen's cooking, y'all. Like Cryo's gonna be in next split after, although that's with Chime retiring, so I don't know if that's quite.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's quite a net benefit. Mixture will make it up here eventually. I think Mixture's really good.
Maybe Daption will be back.
Daption belongs here.
Daption belongs in this group of supports. I will agree with you because this group of supports, They play like Daption, I'll tell you that.
Also,
Play the Warmugs game at home, by the way, please.
I'm gonna play the Warmugs game. I can't not play the Warmugs game now. I'm gonna have
It's so fun. It's so fun. You gotta bet before the game happens. Like at the draft, you see it and you're like, okay, both of these champions are probably building Warmugs. One of them is gonna have it by this point. How many deaths? It's gonna be a high number. I guarantee you that. Because we played against Zyko. That guy's on the top seed team. He's not immune from it. 15.
15.
That's insane.
I am going to play this now.
That's a ringing endorsement.
You have to.
That and Vampire Survivors are the 2 big game endorsements from summer on this show.
And Hearthstone.
And Hearthstone.
Although that wasn't on air.
That was.
Was that not? Probably it shouldn't have been if it was. So fair enough.
Is this where we steal Summer's awesome game, rename it, and brand it the Salt Mine? Yeah.
This just we definitely have to brand it better than the Salt Mine game if we're gonna.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, but
this.
like, you got the joke, man. All right, don't argue the semantics.
We can just call it the Warmugs game. It's fun.
Yeah, we could play the Warmugs game.
We're not going to steal it.
We'll do.
Take it. I mean, I'm saying it on your show. Are you gonna like in post edit you saying it instead of me?
Good.
I just re-record over.
It's okay. We'll do a Twitter thread or something. We'll make predictions for next week's match.
I have a really fun game to play.
A really fun game. The microphone levels are just way different, so you can obviously tell I'm pre-recording it.
All right. Well, we'll do that. Yeah, we'll make some. We'll do some competitive posts. You and Beep submit your predictions. We'll submit our predictions, and we'll get some crossover betting going there.
Perfect. It's very toxic, by the way. I don't think the supports know that we're doing this. If they do, then maybe they'll find it funny. Maybe they'll block me on Twitter. But hey, that wouldn't be the first time.
I'm on board. We'll do it.
I'm on board too.
All right. Well, that's as good a spot to close things out as any. Thank you, everybody, for tuning on in. Thank you so much, Summer, for hopping on. Last word goes to you if you want to shout out anybody or say anything else before we close out for the evening.
Yeah, sure. Shout out to the Winthrop guys. You know, we may not all be Winthrop students, but I like our team a lot. And I'm really glad that we all got together and we're making the most of it, you know? So I'm really happy. I think that we can shoot for Brazil. And, you know, if everything goes right, then see me getting the suntan down in Sao Paulo. So that'll be really cool. And yeah, other than that, thanks for having me on. I appreciate any and all content around my special interest little League of Legends tournament thing. It's really fun. And shout out to the Ducky Getters. I'll be watching your win.
Let's go, Ducky
Love
Getters.
Love it.
All right. Well, I'll be on Aegis this weekend for NACLQ semifinals. Did you say we, Slayer? Are you on with me?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, brother. Nobody told me. All right.
You mean we? Because no, I'm not.
Broadcast. Ivor messaged me today.
Ah, sweet.
Messaged me 3 days ago.
3 days ago.
Yeah,
all right, sweet. Well, yeah. So tomorrow, at the time this drops, we'll be on We'll be on for NACLQ semifinals on Aegis Esports GG. We'll be doing Lotus versus Polestar. So shout out to everybody for voting for the Ducky Getters because we got a real cool close match over on the Aegis stream. That's gonna be a bunch of fun. Yeah, and that'll be it. We'll be back next week. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you next time.